Hi and welcome back here to Building Freedom. My name as always is Hans Nilsson and I'm here to guide you through some of this journey towards becoming financial free. Today we're going to look at a book that I think many of you know, but bear with me here because I'll just touch on the basics and I just want to get everybody to the same level before we introduce some more advanced stuff. The book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, written by Robert Kiyosaki. And I suspect that many of you watching a channel like this know the book and the author. Robert Kiyosaki has written a long row of books, and I'm not too happy about most of them, to be honest. But that's a subject for another video. Today we're going to look at Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and we're going to look at a book called The Cashflow Quadrant. And I'll just give you a summary here because the essence in these two books are actually quite good when it comes to building freedom. So just for today here, I put a whiteboard up and I'm going to make some drawings here and I hope you can see it all. It is kind of basic, but let's just get to it. Robert Kiyosaki writes in his book that he has been raised on Hawaii by two dads. Well, they were not both his dad. It was the poor dad was his real biological dad, and then the rich dad was a friend's dad that had his own businesses and was very wealthy and successful. Fair enough. I'm not sure how much of that is really true, but as a metaphor, it is great. You can read it for yourself. I think on Amazon is something like $5 today. He wrote I think 20 years ago, something like that, and it is one of the best-selling financial self-help books in the world. So anyway, let's get to the foundation in the book here. What Rich Dad, Poor Dad apparently told Robert Kiyosaki is that people have to take a look at how they spent the money that they earn. And he gives an example with an income statement here. And here we have income and we have expenses. You know that from your own budgeting and your own personal bank account, I suppose. Alright, let's say, and this is the worst case of course, let's say that you earn $5,000 every single month, but you spend $6,000 on all sorts of expenses. That, of course, that is basic math, gives you minus $1,000 every single month, and that is, of course, the worst case. It could be bigger, of course, but that about having a loss every single month, that forces you into borrowing money and paying interest and all that stuff that we don't want. So this is definitely the road to disaster. Of course, it could be a bit better, could it? Because it could be that, let's just shift these two numbers, that you actually make $6,000 and you only spend $5,000. That makes this one a positive of $1,000 every month. Great, great, great. $1,000. But what the book describes is that many people think about this in the wrong way. Because let's say you have $1,000 in surplus on your account every single month, then people tend to get into a mode that says, let's spend it. Let's spend it. Of course, you could just spend $1,000. We go on vacation, I buy some new gear or whatever. That is actually the best case. The worst case is when you spend it on something that gives you new expenses. Let's say, for instance, and here we have our balance sheet. Hope you can see it over here. Robert Kiyosaki talks about assets and liabilities here. And normally you would say that an asset was, for instance, a house that you live in or something. But Robert Kiyosaki says that an asset is something that produces extra income to you, where a liability is something that takes away. So it gives you more expenses so that you have less money to invest every single month. All right. I hope you follow me so far. So what he says is that most people actually spend these $1,000 on liabilities over here, meaning they spend money on, let's say for instance, a car. They buy a new car. For those of you that have ever owned a car, know that there are gas bills and there are insurance and reparations and everything, and that car actually gives you more monthly expenses. So that maybe all of a sudden this is 5,500 in expenses, meaning that now you only have $500 in the positive every single month. So the more you buy these liabilities that produce extra expenses, the less you have left of your income every single month. So what Robert Kiyosaki says in this video is that you need to spend the money that you have in profit, that you have in surplus every single month on some assets, and these assets should be assets that produces new money. You got to have your money working for you. It could be something as simple as putting them into some sort of market ETF, or maybe some dividend stocks that actually produces income every month or every quarter or every year, but something that gives you money back on the income side. It could be a lot of different things. It could be that you invested in a little business. It could be that that you put some money up buying or producing a website where you could actually produce some more income over here. It could be anything, and I'll get back to that in a second. But let's say that you over a year have spent, let's get back to the 1,000 in positive every month, that you spent these $1,000 buying assets that now gives you an even higher income. Let's say that after a year, you are now earning 6,500 every single month because you have invested your money in some good stuff. Well, now you have even more in surplus every month that you can buy assets with that produce even more money every month, and that is the circle that I have been in for the last 5 or 10 years. And the reason why I say 5 to 10 years is not that I don't know when I started. It's just that 10 years ago I started it, and 5 years ago I got really serious about it, building this structure. So I have been on it for 10 years, but only serious for 5.5 years now. All right, so I hope you get this concept that we need to get our income up. Of course, get our expenses down as well, because as soon as we have lower expenses, we have more left to ourselves. And all that is left to ourselves should be used to buying assets that produces even more income. I hope that makes sense. So let's go to the second book Robert Kiyosaki wrote, called The Cashflow Quadrant, because that is also a mindset about what you should invest your money in. So let me clean the whiteboard here and let me get back to you in a second. All right, welcome back. Let's dive a bit into the concept from the book Cashflow Quadrant, also written by Robert Kiyosaki. In the Cashflow Quadrant, Robert tells us that there are four parts of our life that can bring in income, or there are 4 different actions or sources of income that we can get. And I've written it up here, the cash flow quadrant. You can see there's an E and an S, a B and an I. And there is this border going down here that makes these 2 the most important and these 2 the things that we should move away from. All right, so let's get to it. E is short for employed, meaning that you can make money, you can make your monthly income from being employed by someone who has a business, or the government, some public office, I don't care, just something that gives you a steady monthly paycheck. That's great, but now we have been in a good economic phase for the last 10 years or so. At one point that will start to tip over, and some people will get laid off. So this thing, getting your income from the E is okay and it is steady, but it is not completely secure. The security we can build somewhere else, but this is actually what many people like. So it's what they are taught in school and from family and in their upbringing, that you should get an education and get a good job. And I'm actually not against that. I like the idea of getting a good, well-paying job. However, we still need to make our expenses smaller so that we can take all the surplus every month to put in to some of the other quadrants here, because that is what is going to make us free. You're probably not going to be financially free by, quote unquote, just have a normal job. The S down here stands for self-employed. And that is a step in the right direction. For some people, it is absolutely not for everybody to be here. But being self-employed means that you own your own business, but that the business is kind of a one-man shop. It could be that you are a dentist or a lawyer or an accountant or some business where you charge people for your service, mostly by the hour. But maybe in a dentist clinic, it's by the treatment or something like that. But you have an hourly salary that you can get in. And the thing here is that you can work a lot more hours if you want to, and if the customers are there, of course. Up here it's often kind of fixed how many hours you get paid for. Down here, if you work 30% more hours, you normally make 30% more money. All right, but it is still dependent on you, on your time, meaning that if you're sick or if you go on vacation, the salary pretty much disappears. So you have gone from being an employee to now you own your own business, but what you actually do here is just that you own your own job. So it is a step in the right direction because you can speed up your income, but we should not forget that by owning your own business, there also comes some risks. Because, for instance, here, it's not certain for certain that you have the same benefits as up here. Now, I live in Denmark, where we have most of the benefits incorporated in our tax system, so it's not too much to worry about. But if you live, for instance, in the United States, there are some benefits that you pretty much only get here. Otherwise, you have to spend a lot on insurance to get them down here. So it is not completely and always better for every person to be down here, but it is a step in the right direction. Let's step over on the other side here. Let me just get over here, because here we have the B and the I. The B stands for business owner. And by owning a business, you might say, because that is what we're normally taught, that let's say I have a dentist clinic, that is a business. But not in this sense, because being a business owner here means that you own a business that is kind of a system. It's something that runs by itself. So that, let's say for instance, that I had this huge YouTube channel. This is not huge yet, maybe it will be someday, but let's just say I had a huge YouTube channel. Then I could hire someone to make some of the videos. I could hire someone to edit the videos. I could hire someone to make thumbnails and to make marketing and get brand deals and whatever. And when I had built that so that I could leave for a month and the business would actually have grown when I go home, then I'm up here, then I am a business owner. I'm not there yet in my own business. I have actually spent way too many years down here. I made some nice money, but it has all been dependent on me. So now the thing I'm doing with my freedom thing here, building freedom, is getting my money over here. So building business is one possibility. Another possibility, and that's actually where I am putting in the most effort, that is being an investor. Being an investor means that you invest in instruments and vehicles that produces more money. It could be dividend producing stocks, it could be ETFs, it could be currencies, it could be businesses where you are a sleeping partner. It could be anything pretty much that produces money to you while you sleep. I know that sounds a bit corny to many people, and I will in a later video get into the whole concept of passive income, which is actually most of the time pretty much misunderstood, because passive income doesn't really exist. Not really. You always have to work a bit on it. But I'll get back to that later. But being over here, when you take the surplus from every single month that I talked about before, from the income statement, we had the $1,000, and you put it into building businesses or investing in things that produces new money over here, then you're building freedom. And as you might remember, this channel is called Building Freedom, and that is because I want you to build a financially free future. And one of the ways to do that is to focus on some simple models, and I'll give you plenty of ideas on how to do all this. This is just the core principles. So an important thing for me here, as I said in the beginning, is that everybody gets the core principles right at first. And now we have the income statement with the income and expenses, and hopefully a monthly surplus that we could invest in new assets that produces more money. And what we want to invest in is maybe building a business, or being an investor, or maybe both. I'm going to talk a lot about that in the upcoming videos. The important thing here is that if you like this, and if you want to hear more about how I've done it and all sorts of great ideas I have to how you can do it, then please hit that subscribe button down there and the like button for the video, so that YouTube knows that you want to see more of this stuff. I hope all of this made sense. Always you're welcome to comment in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer all of your questions and comments as soon as I can. That's all for today, folks. I hope that you are one step closer to building freedom, financial freedom in your life, and I'll do my best to guide you on the way. Thanks for now.